together with hey, played together as Nidog with Ghost T in 2024, and second place and top 4 in June and July. So they were there, they were about the scene in 2024, but it was nowhere near as successful as a guy with a world championship should be.
Yeah, I feel like that's always going to be a helping hand, isn't it, to have someone who's seen that kind of level of experience. But like I say, in terms of the LCQ, that's where things haven't been very fruitful for the members of Navi, and that's going to be on their minds. You've got to think about where you're at presently rather than what things like back in the past. We've had many a champion in the past that have not really stuck the test of time. So the method's changing. The game.
Yeah, I mean,
Zeta Division.
Yeah, Zeta Division are crazy. I mean, we came into this and it was very much a 50-50 for that quarterfinal number 4 against Crazy Raccoon, and last month it didn't go their way, and this month it did. Luckily for them, was they'd have been completely out of the race for Brawl Cup and in a very poor position overall as well. So for their sake, it's good that it went this way. Extremely talented players. If you can take down Crazy Raccoon, you've got something about you. So I think Navi are in a bit of trouble when it comes into this one.
Heard from Levi before, we'll hear from him again now. Thoughts on their performance last month.
先月準決勝で負けたのは、最初の月っていうのもあって、自分たちの本番どのように立ち回るかがやくやなところがあったので、それが原因だったかなと思います。
So Levi feels like they still have some things to polish. Jumpy on the other hand is just trying to outdraft their opponents. Let's see who is going to do better in their task here. It's time for payback arc. Zeta Division so far didn't look like they can actually beat Navi.
Well, this was going back to the February qualifiers. This is where we went to the 50 final set, and you can see there as well that it was actually really for me that it was a bit confusing with the colours there, but it was Zeta that got the first 2 sets, so they were actually kind of reverse swept in the sense, not necessarily the full reverse sweep, but they went to a double match point, and that was the loss that then meant that Zeta Division had to go for the lower bracket. They did do that successfully. They beat Go Next for 3-0 scoreline, and then in the monthly finals was where they made a reject in the semi-finals, and that's where they faltered. And think about things in that context today. They're going to want to make the grand finals to give that team the rematch. They want to get the back over reject, and what better place to do it in the grand finals? They've got to get there first. And now we're playing fantastic today. So, it's going to be on their minds about their qualifiers. But I would say that today we've seen a far better Zeta Division than we saw last month. So if that qualifier was anything to go by last month, and they've had that growth between then and now, this should be theirs for the taking, in my opinion.
Both Navi and Zeta have been in the semi-finals last month already, so they had their chance to make it into the grand finals. They did then. Maybe one of them will for sure make it today, and that also means that they haven't faced against each other since the February monthly qualifiers. Those were the stats from that we just looked at. So apart from scrims, we don't really know anything about those 2 teams, about their results. Shooting Star is going to be our first map though, and I think that Choppy mentioned that he believes Zeta Division likes to play really aggressive. Now, usually on Shooting Star we see a lot of long-range rulers. Trev, you feel like we're going to see another Max Cup melody maybe?
It's a different possibility, and I think regardless of who's playing Shooting Star these days, there's usually an aggressor and there's usually one who plays a bit more defensive, and we saw the same on Hideout as well. One team who's always kind of stuck back in the spawn and one team who's pushed up against them. And it wouldn't surprise me if either team do, to be fair. Like, Navi might want to take the aggressive brawlers and take it to Zeta Division. Try beat them at their own game, and I don't think that's a bad idea for them to do either. But yeah, I certainly think that Zeta Division are, so mechanically skilled that they can really do what they want, and if what they want to do is aggression, then they'll do it.
Zeta Division also winning the bets here. You guys at home voted 52% for Zeta Division, 48 to Navi. I feel like I might keep right here that this is going all the way, since this is really a 50-50. We're heading into the draft now. Jane, Underl, and Piper banned out from the side of Zeta Division. Navi has the first pick. They're still banning out a lot of long range, plus Mr. P. I would have left him open and picked him up first, Dark.
It's Yeah, it's a possibility. I mean, for sure, there's certain brawlers that can overrun Mr. P, but we've seen already today just how difficult it is once you're the hypercharged turret. And, you know, just trying to deprive away from that is key, but ultimately it can't be avoided all the time. Great first pick, definitely going to be a good deterrent of some throwers on the side of State's Division if they were feeling that way inclined. It's a great map for Juju. They may still go for Juju in the mid, but Sprout as well. Gray's really that kind of brawler which can just eradicate you so quickly. And in Bounty, those kills are going to stack and matter. RT is a safe pick, still available here for sure. The G-Band is a solid one on the side of State's Division, and the Angelo. Bell first pick, again, a brawler that I've never really minded. I really like Bell. I just feel like it's not necessarily the flashiest or strongest of first pick brawlers for me. But nonetheless, you know, it's got a good rate of fire, which I think is quite good. The Nest Eggs now as well, with the gadget reset, that cooldown, you can lay a lot more than you really ever used to. So I quite like it for that reason, to really mark your territory and stay grounded in that regard. But certainly Max is open here as well. Byron's going to be there for the heals for Zeta, but I think some aggressors have yet to show their faces.
Yeah, I mean, I like Bell. I always have. As you say, it's not like the best sharpshooter, but it's always there. It's good. It's fine. Byron, a healer and a sharpshooter kind of all in one combined, so they might pair with that something a bit more aggressive. He said Max still yet to come, could be taken by Navi here, as they do have that Grey along with it as well, so not a bad pairing. But Zeta Division, obviously having the last pick, leave themselves up a good possibility of countering what Navi bring to the table. They're going to take the Mandy. Has become very, very good recently. The hypercharge, pretty disgusting. Does a lot of damage up close, but you know, usually using it when you're kind of miles back and want to try snipe all three lanes.
Yeah, Mandy now is in a great spot, honestly. I'm still waiting for that hypercharge moment on a cast. I really am with that cycle and just a complete team wipe. Certainly a knockout. I want to see it there first, but I wouldn't grumble if it was to happen today at this stage in the competition at all. Gus going to come in for Navi. I was going to say, yeah, Melody and Gus, I was kind of wondering where Melody was at the moment in terms of things, and you can see how swift of a pickup that was for Zeta. Surprised, in all honesty, that Navi didn't go for that, because the Mandy is certainly going to be a bit more susceptible to being stood still and requires somewhat of an aggressor to help protect her. And I'm not sure that the Grey can necessarily do that on his own, but you can see how quick Zeta were to snap it up, and I was going to wonder, was that a mistake from Navi? Did they miss a trick there?
Yeah, there was no delaying at all, was there? It was just straight into Melody, just bang, go, we'll win. So possibly, like, how dominant it's been today, you've got to worry about coming up against it, because the win rate of Melody must just be absolutely off the charts. The only thing that's really held a candle to it is Daryl today, and Daryl hasn't really been coming away with that many wins. It's won a fair few, but also lost a lot as well. So Zeta Division have definitely got a very solid, well-rounded comp here, I'd say.
Well, Zeta, this is their best monthly finals performance to date, or if they from game one set here, it will be. Certainly, of course, you know, getting past Crazy Raccoon, I think, was a very unlikely scenario that coming in today was on the cards for them. Not so that they couldn't do it, but simply because of Crazy Raccoon being the last month's monthly final basis. Now, against Navi, it's going to be the biggest test yet today. Let's see how they fare. Blue Star, so far, just Tampo and going in, getting a few taps, getting some notes, and going actually super really aggressive. If you can get out of this position, some heals, you might be able to do that, or even stay there and just continue the aggression. Crazy stuff from Tampo.
Who needs to get out when you can just stay in? It's just never ending. All super thrown out there by Rohei, and was clocked onto by Suzuki, who does just kind of weave in and out and get out of the way of it. Tampo going very low, but good heals again from Byron, and really been on point with those today. Stampo staying alive a lot longer than he should have been in that aggressive position that he was in there, but Ryohei doing a good job of keeping this range on the lane, with Stampo just waiting for the super to go aggressive again.
Good jukes on display from Navi, not giving an inch so far to Zeta, but it's honestly something that I'm worried about the most on the side of Navi, because when he goes, he really does go, and Suzuki's going to land these hills. He's been doing so pretty well. Hypercharge now available for a Chappie, so watch out for that one coming in. But I mean, Tampo has got the ability to evade it. But these two got to come together because the scoreline is that close.
Byron's healing. They're going to have to go soon because the hypercharge is going to take effect. Chooses to just kind of wait very, very late. Very late there. And they may have waited way too long, and Zeta Division somehow come away with it. One more shot and it would have been over for them. But they clung on and managed to take it.
My word. Honestly, it wasn't. I mean, I was feeling the same. I thought that they were leaving it way too late. But when you look at how little HP there was left in that grey, maybe it was only a fraction of milliseconds, really, when you think about it. Just enough between the shots. Because that was a very low level of HP that could have turned the tide there slightly. But, yeah, I feel like they could have done a bit more in those final moments. First of all, Kane brings Hammer back into the question for Ryohei, but not more than that. As he evades his way back into spawn. Just a blue star. A nice dash in from Zeta. But again, they've got to hold this defense, and once Chappie gets his super and Kuri can get a shield, then that could spell disaster.
Yeah, good shots coming in, but what a slow that is as well. Wonderful walking Kane too. Good combination of gadgets from a Chappie and Ryohei there. Just making sure he can't escape, as he was doing in the last one. But how quickly this can turn with Stampo on the Melody is very, very dangerous, but no notes and going very aggressive. 2 of the dashes used already.
Tab is now at the range of the heals, so he's going to be a bit cautious now. Zuku just repositioning himself. Tabba goes right to the right hand side of the corner. Ryohei's surviving on the 181 HP. Nice taps from Suzuki there just to seal it, and that Sugar Rush not going to connect either. So it's going to be a wasted super for Ryohei. And Blue Star still with Zeta, just the one kill separating things out. But yeah, a bit of a missed opportunity I feel there for Zeta.
Oh, great taps from there. Like, trips the nest egg and just gets absolutely beamed with no shots missed. Hypercharge was even used to secure that as well. And it is 6-4 with Blue Star and Zeta Vision's hands, looking like they're going to be taking the set if it stays like this. But we do have that Hypercharge Chappie again ready to roll. Good slow to the Byron here, but Splash Duke on himself to stay alive in 27 seconds. There's the Hypercharge, gets one, but it's not going to be enough just yet. They need another.
Yeah, tough thing now. Chevy slowed so much that shot from the bell just escaping him there. And it would have been enough to advance the lead for Zeta, but as such, they are still going to win this if nothing changes. It's Navi that need the kill. Chitambo going in now with the Hypercharge on Kuri. The shield is huge, but Chitambo survives it on. Now it's 10-6 as Zeta hold firm. Everyone stays standing despite the low HP, and the set goes the way then of Zeta.
I mean, that looked very good for Zeta. Like, they may have had a few deaths here and there, might have been fairly close to losing that first game, but I don't know if there was ever really a moment where I didn't feel that Zeta Division were in control. Stampo doing a great job of lunging in and out when he really needed to, opening up some space, getting kills, and ensuring that they get those wins. It was great play from Zeta Division. They just seemed in control.
Every time I see a Byron in the draft, I now immediately hear my alarm bells ring, honestly, that you either have to pick up Melody yourself or just really have something to counter it. Melody just ran away with those 3 kills that Chitambo did so well on her. I really didn't feel like Navi could have done anything different to win this one, actually. They just needed a better draft. They didn't really have anything to account for that aggressive Chitambo.
I mean, the thing is, though, they kind of did in the sense of, like, you know, if they didn't pick up the Gus and they picked up the Melody, what realistically was Zeta Division going to combine the Byron with? They kind of would have been forced a little bit to kind of play out the sharpshooter long-range affair, in my opinion. You know, or maybe they could have gone with a tank, but it would have been a big risk, or you know, maybe something like a Max. But realistically, Byron would have been a bit out of place in that regard. This is that final moment. Honestly, look at this. That tap. I mean, he's down to just like a couple of hundred HP there on Suzuki's side. It could have been the difference maker for me in that first game. But the second, like Trev says, I mean, Zeta looks very much at home. Even that final moment, I mean, that was the only real one moment that we saw weakness in them.
We didn't see a lot of weaknesses, that's very true. Maybe in the next set, though. Achapi did say that they like to outdraft their opponents. They studied them well. Let's see if they did their homework or reach too far. Another very long-ranged map. It is a heist map, but probably one of the only heist maps you actually play. Long-range brawlers, if possible, maybe also a Melody, a Daryl. Some tanks can come in, but overall just really long-range stuff.
Yeah, it's a similar vibe, really. Like, obviously, it's a different objective, but the map is just long range. 3 pretty distinct lanes, the same as Shooting Star. And, yeah, pick up a Melody, you're pretty much going to be winning it. Same with, like, sharpshooters down the sides. Yeah, if you get good sharpshooters, you're pretty much chilling. Sharpshooters and a Melody, you're looking good. Chuck, it definitely was good, but I feel like people have just got better at playing against the Chuck.
Don't pick it. Good advice.
Good shout. Especially with me and Archicasting. Has
been known to happen. Yeah, Melody bound for Zeta. First coin toss, then go the way of Navi. Yeah, we expect that. That's a must, really, for me. Good balance, though, for the Angelo and the Eve. And a first pick Miko is an interesting thing to see at this stage of the draft. I mean, I'm all for it, don't get me wrong. It's really quite a tough one to deal with, especially on this kind of map. You've got the ability to swap lanes so, at your will, really. And with the star power as well, being able to get 100% extra damage against non-brawlers with record smash, that's where Miko's going to thrive. You can't leave a Miko on the safe. It's going to be damage trickling away, and base race is a risky one, honestly. You've got to be so careful. The truck being banned, though, does allow the Miko to even have a better time on that kind of base race, because you're not fighting against the truck, so it's a nice idea so far.
Yeah, I mean, Amber rolling on it as well. Kind of a similar vibe to Melody. If you get towards the safe, you can, use that gadget to kind of eradicate the safe pretty quickly, and has a bit of a fight against the Melody in the same regard. But obviously, with that out of the way, it is one of the better choices for getting damage on the safe, and maybe even to play against that Miko as well. Jumping towards you, you might be able to use the gadget to get some good damage down on him, which otherwise a lot of brawlers are going to be kind of hung out to dry. So we'll see what they do choose to go, because that Miko can just jump towards the safe and get good damage. Piper, that's one of the sharpshooters we were talking about, and a very good one for British too far.
It's risky still. In this kind of meta, I feel like Piper's not quite as prevalent as she once was, in my opinion, but I mean, we shall see. I've always loved it here. I play it every single time myself, and it's never a bad brawler to have. Have the option to potentially break the mid. Better maybe not to, but it depends how the game is playing itself out. Juju going to come in now. Fantastic pick there for Navi. Especially with the Angelo and the Eve ban in play, pretty little else that can really utilise the water on this map to their advantage. So, two brawlers then for Navi, which have got the ability to swap lanes, and that could be quite crucial. At the moment, Zeta Vision are going to be worried about the Piper though, because I mean the Bell and the Amber are going to struggle a little bit against it. Bell gets the shield, but I mean Amber's pretty squidgy. Berry going to come in. Those shots if left untouched on the safe, they can really trickle down things quite fast. So I think you're going to see a bit of a race between both the Miko and the Berry in that respect. So definitely that gadget now, it's a concern, a big concern here for Navi, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, the Berry is not going to have the range to put up with the Juju when she slots in one of those sides. Can't go across the water like the Juju can. And it's going to be tough for the Berry to get up to the safe, I feel. Then again, if it does, as you say, it's going to do so much. So it's going to be a little bit of a weird matchup, this. It's not something that I'll have casted in pretty much ever, this kind of Miko versus like a Berry on the other side and Amber. It just feels odd.
I'm with you, I agree. I think the Berry's going to have a tough time, but if they get to the safe, I mean, that gadget's got 12-second cooldown, and that's 100% longer lasting damage. If left on the safe, I feel like that could trickle things down, but so far they're bunched together, and look at that. The way that Navi handled that situation was not easy. Even now, Levi all alone had to deal with this. I mean, something good marking onto the Miko. Great timing from him, and great reservation there to make sure that he landed in just the right fashion, because that's not an easy thing to do. But now, Zeta really struggling a little bit in the opening moments. Now, set left on their own side.
Yeah, Tampo going to get a few shots on now. Sharpie burning down as well, and Amber respawning will be able to help out on the defensive side, but 20% is all that's left. But look at Berry getting so much down here, and that's going to be long-lasting damage. If Levi can win this matchup against Kuru, they're going to be in a good spot. Chappie might go down, needs a pinch in, doesn't get Chris down either. Big damage coming through, but Miko jumps in, and Piper finishes it off. Navi managed to win it, but it was close.
It was really close, yeah. I mean, the time in between that shot, I mean, might have been enough realistically for the Amber and the Berry to get the job done as well. So, I mean, if the safe wasn't dealt there with that last Piper blow, I felt like there was enough time between the Miko jump that it may have gone the other way. It was really cutting it fine. But like you said, the Berry pick is going to work. It's a risk. It's going to take time to get to the safe, and towards the end, it's sort of left a little bit too late. They're leaving the Miko now. They're going to rush this safe on the side of Zeta. Now Levi's thinking twice about it, and hesitation in heist gets the taps and does deal with the problem pretty swiftly now, all things considered. But yeah, you're going to be getting that right balance, haven't you?
Yeah, great move through Tampo. It's just a shame Suzuki didn't actually manage to get the tank there and keep him alive. Good damage coming through now, though, and Grigri in the backlines. They do have a lead, but it's not a massive amount, especially when you're against a Miko up top who can pretty much even this damage out quite quickly. Same with the Juju, but Miko being dealt with well by Zeta.
I think Levi's doing a great job against the Miko on defense. Not an easy thing to do with the Bell. picks up the pipe now, hypercharge coming in, tap nicely into a chap who's immediately eradicated, allowing everyone to get back on the safe. There as well, the Armageddon just shredding things down, Tampa there with the final blow, and we are all tied up now. Really great response from Zeta, much better.
Yeah, it was really nice from Zeta Division, that one. And you see Levi, he's the defensive players quite often left unmentioned, but he's doing so well against the Miko and against the Piper coming up as well, having his moments. Mark's very good. Just all-round great performance from him. Not to say that the attackers aren't doing well as well, but yeah, you got to mention the defender at points like that.
Because Amico is really quite difficult to land the timings of. That's the whole point, is that you try and play this bit of a game of chicken, really, so who's going to make the motions first. And so far, he's been pretty decent, all things considered. Now, and meanwhile, the Tampa there just evading a bit of time to his teammates to allow Kuru and Chevy to focus him and not the safe. Pushing back now, and super available to Tampa, trying to get that Amber onto the safe again, trying to get his gadgets to connect also. But Chappie's doing really well. These stones are quite substantial now, and especially with the help of Kuru now, that left-hand side lane is completely shut down.
Yeah, even matchup, and actually Zeta Division do take the lead now thanks to those long-lasting berry shots, and he even went down and came back up, and his shot was pretty much still there. Bell bounces coming through now, and Stampo just healing up nicely. Suzuki making the push through, but tapped so fast by the Piper as soon as he tried to make a move. Hypercharge use as well, super through from the berry, and Levi doing a good job of defense again. No damage taken once more.
Now the hypercharge is available for Levi, and that's the thing which gave Zeta Division the win in the last game. So if he can connect that at just the right time to allow his teammates to push forwards, but Tampa needs to super realistically to do that. Now defense has got to be on point for Levi, which it is. It's 1% in it now, and a chance for Zeta to push through. But again, Tampa does need his super to allow that pathway.
Still not got the lead after another push from the Miko, and Stampo going forwards, hypercharge, jump away. And what can he really do in this scenario? So many heals going to be there. Suzuki now trying to give some help, but Stampo going to try to take down this Grigri and actually goes for a Charpy instead. And although the Bell had a chance through mid, chooses to just play this defensive game once more.
Big tap there, the homemade recipe from Kuru. And now the hypercharge as well, tapping Suzuki. The heals are not nearly enough, as the Tampa now is going to be very out of position. But again, another solid defense from Levi. It's keeping his team in the conversation now. Chappie using the late to his advantage in that coverage, of course, to allow Ryohi to come forward, trying to advance upon the safe. But I'm still worried about the Tampo and Suzuki, as are Chappie and Kuru, trying to land everything they can into it. It's going to be cutting it so fine.
Yeah, they need the kills. Bell's going to be coming through the mid, though, as he knows he can go aggressive. Now there's the hypercharge to come through. Damage shot as well. Great super from Shitampo with the hypercharge as well. Gadget going to be used by Suzuki, and Miko can't get there in time. Levi just adding damage, and Zeta Division will do it in the closing seconds. Once again, what a performance from Levi. Brilliance on the defense, but great perseverance on the left-hand side to just stay alive and wait for the opportune moment from the other two.
Yeah, honestly, I did not think going into that set that the conversation was going to be so much about defense as it really was, because Levi was that pillar, an absolute pillar there for his team, and without that Miko can just go to town. I think that considering how much the Amber and the Berry were struggling at times, I think Zeta did very well there.
It's just always so fun to watch a map like Bridge to 4 in such a mechanically adept region like East Asia, because you have lanes that force out those 1v1s, and like you mentioned, Arc Future especially, she was just able to use the water to her advantage. I really like the Ember as well, dishing out so much damage with her dancing flame, functioning the same way as the Melody ult. Was there a key in the end to actually win this one, Arc?
Levi, he's got one kill less than the entirety of Navi, and he was playing defense. I mean, it just goes to show how much time he was spent just shadowing Ryohei. And that is not an easy matchup. A battle into a Miko is not an easy thing to necessarily win. You've got to land those taps, and if you miss one single shot, you can get flustered, you can find yourself just being out of sync, and Miko on the safe, especially that star power, 100% more damage than non-brawler. It's really nothing to sneer at. It's a very tough thing to do. So I think that he had a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and time again he came out on top.
I think it was funny how you just look at those stats and you could see the exact one-on-one, or like not the one-on-one matches, but exactly what people were doing. Like the Miko and Berry, they both didn't have much DPS at all And you know, they're both just focusing the safe, focusing their teammates, even the Barry, just constant heals. Just great stuff all around from Zeta Division. There were moments in Navi, like we can't just say, oh, Levi's done brilliant defense, because it's the exact same for the Navi team as well. Their defense was very good also. It's not like Zeta Division were just walking over them on both sides of the field. That's what made it so even. Just great defense from both sides. But Zeta Division just had those defining moments where Levi would come up with a hypercharge, get a kill, open things up in the closing seconds, and that's what won them 2 of the games.
You know, now we at least took this set, but yes, I have to agree with you both. Levi did such a phenomenal job. We also had him in an interview earlier, if you remember. He said that they need to improve on many different points, and he certainly took that to heart. He improved so much, looking so strong on that Bell. Now we're going to Bell's Rock. He could pick her again.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely a tough game mode for me, you know, especially when you're behind. That's the problem now for Navi, and such an important draft to get right. It's going to be tough. I mean, the band's looking pretty good, but it's not an easy map and mode for me.
We're heading into the draft now. The first pick this time around has Zeta Division. Well, it would be open, as are many other long-range bowlers here, Trev. Do you feel like we're still going to see some Piper, Mendy again, phenomenal and knockout in general? Or are we sticking to aggressive plays with Melody, for example?
I mean, possibly. I think Gray is going to be the one to look out for here, though, to be honest with you. You know, walking canes through the walls, dragging people closer. Even if you want to bring in the grand piano, that's totally fine with me on this map as well. Jean is going to be the first pick, though. Surprising to see that as the first. I don't hate it. Don't love it either as the first. I feel like there are better picks, but yeah, the Melody's it's a shout, but I don't know if you can really pick Melody as one of the earlier ones on a map like this, as you kind of leave yourself a bit susceptible to people just staying out of the way and not feeding that super.
Well, coin toss back over to Navi now. 2 picks up and coming. I think Gus is a safe one to have. It's nice to pick early, and then maybe if you want to leave the Melody as that third and final pick, then you got that choice as well. Ollie as well, coming out. I mean, again, with Gadget, to be able to jump over that little mid-area wall and land down immediately with hypnosis. It's a dangerous prospect, and the amount of HP which that brawler brings to Mr. P as well. Ooh, Navi might be cooking something here. I'm not going to lie, Mr. P is going to take a bit of time to get the turret, but when it does, now Zeta have got to heavily consider how quickly they can take care of these turrets and the porters with a Gene. You know, you're going to have the DPS to handle that. So, does kind of eradicate a little bit more as well the idea of a Grey, because the Grey is going to struggle somewhat too. It can bring the turret out of the wall and allow it to be taken care of to some extent, but it's now a very tough comp of which they are looking into.
Yeah, tough situation for them. They're going to take the RT though, and I don't hate that. You know, if the Ollie's going to come in, it can be beaten down quite quick by a quick gadget and a super of Levi if he chooses to go that route, and if not, the Hax is still pretty viable as well, but it's another single shot brawler to add to the mix. If a Mr. P turret coming down, it's not going to help too much, unless it's late game, and obviously RT will do quite a lot of work. But we'll see what the last pick is going to have to be. It's going to be pretty versatile, I've got to say, because, you know, Barley.
Not a bad one. I mean, with the gadget cooldown, but I mean, it can get the turret for the Mr. P taken care of, I guess. But on some level, I do kind of wonder. You want to overrun the Mr. P ideally, though, right? I mean, you don't want to just. I thought they were going to go on the aggressive rather than the offensive.
It's just, I feel like there's better throwers than Barley, no? Like, you rarely see Barley on Bell's Rock, which is just a little bit odd to me. We'll see what Navi do go there. They're going to go the Tick, and that would be, you know, more my route, Tick, Sprout, that kind of thing would be the 2 brawlers that I'd have taken over Barley. And now that throw matchup's really not going to be doing too well for them, because Tick can just keep a Barley back.
Yeah, I feel like Navi have got a very good draft here, honestly. I mean, for the Barley, the sort of gadget cooldown's not actually that low on the Herbal Tonic, the healing side. It's 17 seconds, but it does feel shorter, I'll be honest. Having spammed it a lot in ranked myself, it definitely feels like it is much more viable now that at least you've got multiples to utilize, and especially in like Knockout when it's got a longer game mode over the course of time, then you're getting more value, but it's definitely, like you said, going to be not the easiest of matchups for the Barley and Tick, and the Ollie as well, 4,000 HP with that shield gear as well, and look at that. I mean, it's going to be a tough thing to take care of.
It was a good run down off the start from the tempo, got them quite low, got them marked up, and if his teammates were able to kind of pinch in and do a bit more, then they would have got a couple of kills there, but Curry did a good job of keeping the other 2 occupied. Rio goes for a jump into pretty much no man's land.
Yeah, Kuro just trying to get his turret realistically here, and that's the number one priority for Miss P. Until then, it's going to be quite tough, and you've got to make a decision as to whether you want to use it in the first round anyway. If you do get it, ideally you really want to save it for the second round and hope that you get the first round under your belt regardless. His marks up now, can't really contest a bit more hills coming up from Levi again, and this comp is going to depend upon these barley hills, no doubt about that. Thanks to push the Tambo as well, but Ticket now taken care of nicely. So HP pushes the Tambo now as well, but taking down the Mr. P is crucial now in making it a 3 versus 2.
Ollie goes for the hypnotize, gets the barley, but Sharpie's the only one left, and somehow Zeta Division are coming out on top with 2 supers left in their hands, sorry, maybe 1 after that RT goes back, but it's, oh, actually 3 supers, but it looked terrible for Zeta off the start when you look at the comps, but they're thriving.
Yeah, Gadget out, but immediately taken care of on the side of Kuru. Wants to get a porter down immediately, as quickly as he can, really, there. And try to combine it with the hypercharge Chappie. They might not be able to wait that long, and they might just go with the tick hypercharge regardless. But really, that's quite a lot of utility to hold on to, really, here. Last call going out for Levi as well, just to force and separate the side of Navi. And it's Navi who are looking by far the weak of the 2 sides at the moment. Super going out for a Chappie. Holding on to that hypercharge, I think, is the play. Now the forces are down. They've got to start to stack out this utility and try to stay alive, most importantly, until they can really give a good fight to Zeta, because currently they're struggling.
Yeah, gotta be scared of this pull though. When the porters aren't there, the pull's gonna be very dangerous, and especially now it's hypercharged as well. Ollie still quite low, and Gene Shield keeping that way. He goes for the super and baits out that perfectly. Now pulls him in and gets the kill. Great stuff there. And Chitambo should be able to clean up Kuru. And then Sharpe has the ticket, but no help from his team as they're all down. Zeta Division gonna go to match point and almost in the grand finals.
Yeah, time is really not against Navi now. And when you think back to those February qualifiers where it went to double match point, but it did start this way. I gotta reiterate that it was Zeta Division that got the first 2 sets comfortably, and then got reverse swept in that regard. So they do have to finalise this, but I think they got the comp to do so. And I think today their mentality is right, most importantly as well. Having spoken to the players in those interviews and heard what they had to say, they know how important it is to get this win, to make the grand finals, but more than that, to win them. They're currently 4th on the leaderboards, and they could do with the points, and this could be a great step forward in doing just that.
Yeah, desperately need this win, and, as you say, more importantly, beating Reject and getting those points back in the bag. Champo very far up the map now, and does look to get away with it. This Kuru is marked up, doesn't really want to step out of bounds too much in it. Another gadget coming in. Not really going to do a lot, but you've got to keep on throwing those out if you're the Mr. P.
It so much depends really on getting that hypercharged porter turret down, and Kuru has struggled a bit for the most part to do that. Tampo now trying to find the shots. He's got the legs, that's what's most important, but the gas is coming in, and then Chappie has the hypercharge. Now, this could be the time to utilise it. Just get around on the board now, but you need to go now. Now the legs are going, actually gets a knockback, nice takedowns as well. 2 versus 2, oh my god, everyone's falling. It's a 1v1 now, and it's going to be Levi that stays standing for Zeta. 1 more round between them, and the tickets to the grand finals.
Man, that tickhead was just staring him down as that last volley shot made that connection. So close to the tick almost winning it. Sharpe almost clutching it up for Navi, but as I said, just 1 round between Zeta Division and the grand finals, and playing off against Reject now, and the pull is available. Sharpe can't step out of line, but the porters are there, and so is the tickhead to help out tank that.
Saving grace that they've got the forces now to helping hand things. Gadget again, not going to do too much, but it just keeps the lack of healing on the side of Zeta if they keep taking care of those porters. Now the pull is the problem for Navi. They've got to evade that. They can't allow the hypercharge to be with Suzuki either, so they've got to deprive that whilst keeping control. Not an easy thing to do, not in a scenario, not when there's 1 round between you and defeat. They've got to hold firm, they've got to bring things back in a spectacular way. 2 consecutive rounds are needed to survive just this set.
Yeah, good move from Rio here over to his left-hand side to stop Levi from getting this porter down. Good pull from Suzuki to get him away from the barley, but can he get the trade? The ticket going in on him, and Chitambo the only one left alive. It's not going to happen. Nice stuff there from Navi to keep in the game and not get sent home. And a hypercharged turret is ready to roll.
That's the thing now, is once that's down, if Zeta can't push forward enough to take care of that turret, it's going to be a thorn this entire way through this round. This could well be a Navi game at least to survive on, but then they've still got to do more beyond that if they're able to even get that far. So let's not hold our breath, but it is definitely a huge buff to their utility now. Hypercharge available as well for Sharpie, so they can combine these things all together. There's hope. There is still hope for Navi now.
A lot of hope as well. This hypercharge is going to do absolute work, taking so much of their ammo. It's like Navi can just really push up unharmed. Take head and another Mr. P porter from the gadget coming down on that left-hand side. Shots still being taken up on these porters. Ridiculous how many it takes, and Stampo's so low, and they can't get anywhere near this porter. Levi might need to just throw a super towards it, hope that it gets a bit of a connection and brings it down, because late game, they've got no hope with all of these. He actually replaced it forwards, so the gas doesn't take it out. Ryohei going in, Levi throwing out a super, Suzuki going for it now as well. We see the RT legs were actually hypnotized there, but couldn't get anything back with it, and Navi are going to take this one. Seemed pretty convincing there, and with all the porters and spawnables, I'm not surprised they did.
Yeah, it is a game, but it's more than we've really seen Navi bring to the table so far in the series, so take what you can get, but my concern still is with that Mr. P. You can see just how good the hypercharged turret really is. Once it's there, it's not a guaranteed round win or anything like that, but it's certainly going to give you a massive bump. And getting it, that's the thing. Curry's been taking a while to do just that. The heals from the Barley really is probably where that idea from the pick really is, because you can't heal when you're shooting those porters. So I can understand the Barley pick, and it's been proving to be okay for the side of Zeta so far, but if Curry can just get a better start off the mark, and can just get that turret down earlier, they might be able to survive this set, but they can't realistically do it without the hypercharged turret.
Still throwing shots down mid and just trying to keep this Ollie back. Sharpie seems to have just non-stop tick heads, which is definitely very helpful to the Navi side, but they've got to get in a better position to try and have a fight in this one. They need Kuru to be hitting shots, building up supers for the later rounds. And the tick head not really going to be doing too much there as the Barley deals with it quickly, but a good pushback.
Jumping in, target is Levi, things better about, I think that's the wise call now, going back in, and a bit of a bait there, but he actually goes down for it, and it's punished. Levi falls to the gas, 2 versus 2, Stampo going on the hunt there on the bottom left-hand side. Now it's a 1v1, Tick versus Gene, and Tick suffices. Oh my word, a huge round for Navi.
I mean, that's a great round. We are still going though, and the porters are coming in as well. Navi seem to have figured out what Zeta wanted to do and a way to counter it. And the porters are going to be doing so much.
Oh my word, Navi can bring a sigh of relief, but for how long realistically here? And again, they need that hypercharged turret for Kuru. If they can get that, but Tampa's doing a fantastic job of just depriving him of it. That's the problem. They've got their turret down, but look at the positioning for Zeta. They will take that one down. And Shabby might have to use hypercharge now, to be honest, because time might not be on the side of Navi. Kuru's low! Oh, the mark! It's not going to be, he has no hacks, I don't think. Kuru didn't go down there.
I don't think he does, but that's a waste of another turret though. It's almost down now, and they didn't manage to secure it. It might actually win in the game, but Gas is going to come and clean that one up eventually. This is not that healthy. Stampo feeds a hypercharge, but needs this round. If Kuru going to make use of it. Ryohei going forward from the right-hand side. Levi so low, super thrown out. Tick hypercharge there, but evaded nicely. Stampo getting some good connections, but in comes Ryohei. A lot of damage there as well. Hypnotized, takes one down, gets the super back in, and actually doesn't fall yet. A hypercharge ball, so much going on, but Navi come out on top. They take the set, and they survive on.
Oh my word! Who had that on the bingo cards? I thought it was a sweep. A sweep and a half, realistically. We saw that Zeta were handling the draft. They were handling the Mr. P. There was nothing that was really working. The Ollie pick, in my opinion, Navi had the draft. Don't get me wrong from the get-go. But I did not think that they were going to survive regardless. And that was really quite impressive that against all the pressure that must have been mounting, all the self-doubts that Navi must have been having. But again, this was the matchup that we saw. This is the grudge match from the February qualifiers. This is what we saw then. They didn't seal it in the sweep. They got reverse swept in the sets in the end. So, I mean, oh, what a starting point for Navi to get something on the board, really.
I kind of like Zeta Division's draft better, if I'm honest, but I did like the counter pick to the Gene. Mr. P was always a great brawler against him, thanks to his porters, and now he's really a difference maker with his hypercharge. Zeta Division have to win today still to make the race for World Cup. You mentioned that before as well. So they're certainly motivated to still take this one home. Last month they dropped out in the semi-finals against Reject. Now guess who they're facing in the grand finals?
I mean, looking at the stats here as well is absolutely crazy. Like, if you look at Zeta Vision, they got more kills. They just got them at the wrong times, clearly. Less deaths in the rounds that they managed to win. But Navi, a chappy, you can see him, 312 DPS. You kind of expect Ollie to do a low DPS, good amount of kills, because he picks his moments, doesn't really have the range to compete with the rest of the players on Zeta Vision for the majority of the time. But there were certain moments where, as I said, you expect Zeta Vision to win, and I honestly thought that Mr. P was, Mr. P alone probably could have taken a good amount of Zeta Division down, but it was just like I thought going into it that Navi were going to win, and then I watched the first couple of rounds. I'm like, okay, Zeta Division are sweeping this, but it didn't play out that way, and Navi have a lifeline now.
I think it's chappy there for me, honestly. They'll look back and be praising that moment right there, because that was really where it kept them in the game. It kept them just able to carry on, and not an easy 1v1 to win in that regard either, but just had the right dickhead at the right time. But there's still a lot of work to be done. I'm not going to lie. Navi needs to get to the 50 finals set to be still in with a chance of winning this one. It's not going to be easy.
The series shaped up to look like a stomp, a 3-0 sweep by Zeta Division. In the end, it wasn't meant to be. Navi still lives to see another day, lives to see dueling beetles. I did call at the start that I think this is going to go all the way. Navi needs a reverse sweep for this to happen, or at least win this set now. Dueling beetles, a map we've also seen today a couple of times. We've seen some throwers, we've seen a lot of aggression here from this region again. Melody, again, could be a great pickup here, as well as the Ollie. We just saw Barley and Tick. Those technically could be picked up here as well. I feel like we have better throwers to our.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a thrower-heavy kind of map, but ultimately, the B ban, I'm looking for that first, because B Griff, I mean, that just really opens up so much to your disposal. B ban there on the right side, on both sides, in fact. So yeah, I think that's wise. I mean, both sides not taking any chances there is pretty much the way that I would see this one as well. Poker ban as well for a must reason. Very. Hank, I think these are all great bans in my opinion. Juju's still going to be a decent thrower in the mid, probably my preferred thrower. I think Penny as well, depending upon the Mr. P situation, that's the kind of thing with Penny, because the Penny can work actually really well into Mr. P and just have that additional splash. Ollie first pick for the side of Zeta is definitely a dangerous thing to be looking down the barrel of. I think the Barley here is actually a really good throw of choice actually as well on this map in particular. I think again the ability to cycle the hills, especially with the Poco ban and Berry's ban, you're only really leaving yourself fire on, which is going to be struggling to find the angle to really heal your teammates too. So some options on both sides still here, but the Ollie first pick is bold.
I will say, Griff's not banned, but B is by both sides. That pairing is kind of out of the way. They're going to have to take something other than a B if they want to go for a bit of a break comp and long range. Bell going to be picked up first by Navi. It seems the region really appreciates this brawler, and I honestly appreciate them appreciating, because I do love Bell. I love seeing it. I like her a lot.
And I appreciate you appreciating them appreciating it, Trav.
You know what? I appreciate that. Because I love Bell. I really enjoy playing. I really enjoy watching her play. Melody coming along with it as well, and that has me feeling pretty good about Navi.
Oh yeah, that's the dangerous pick right there. I imagine we're here going to be championing that Melody, and the Ollie has got an advantage against it on some level, but she can just dance around it. Wait for the timer down for the hypnosis, and then come back in and just then deal the damage. You can really time things to your advantage with the Melody. So as strong as Ollie is, this is what I'm saying. Yeah, the Mr. P scenario. What are we saying with this? Again, it's like similar to Penny. Once Penny gets her hypercharged mortar down, it's insanely strong. But it's going to take time to get it. And in a game mode like Hot Zone, you haven't got the luxury of time, especially if you don't have a good start, if you're falling behind. Mr. P's only really good when you're having a great game, in my opinion here. I mean, it is just that brawler in the meta, which at the moment is causing the most problems in the pro scene, in my opinion. The Stu's not play the best into the porters either, but the speed zone and just the ability to dance around the situation is, a great thing to have, especially mixed on the side with Zeta. I think that's my favourite pick, actually, on their comp. But the Mr. P, yeah, the question for me is, can they get it fast enough? Can they get the hypercharge turret down before the game's over?
I mean, the thing is, right, you don't have a lot of time in Hot Zone, but you have a lot of interactions, and I think that's the thing. You're getting your super a lot faster. If they can get it in if they can get it in Knockout, they can probably get it in this mode as well in Hot Zone. And Frank, going to be a bit of a battery for that super and hypercharge as well, which definitely helps him out a lot. But this Navi comp, I look at it, I'm a little bit scared for Zeta Division here.
Yeah. Have they got the DPS and the side of Zeta to handle this now with the Frank? I'm not overly convinced. It can certainly feed a Mr. P. There's no doubt about that. But, you know, I think that Frank is going to be holding firm in that mid. And, again, if this goes to a fifth and final set, you've got to remember that at that point, Zeta have lost 2 consecutive sets. They lost the match point scenario. They're going to be deflated, demoralised, and looking at the same situation that they faced in the February monthly finals against this very team. So a lot of demons could potentially come out of the woodwork if they're not careful here.
Yeah, Chappie moving forwards. Did take a lot of damage on his way up, which Tempo having to navigate this right-hand side against Kuro, juking so well, but in that time, Chappie's done really well and healed up, and Ryohei going forwards and getting so much done. And Suzuki just not got the damage to really match up against the Sharpie here. Tempo's still doing wonderful. Staying alive for so long. Now the super comes in from Suzuki, but instantly taken out, and boy oh boy, we might be seeing a set 5.
Yeah, I just feel like Zeta are going to struggle here to retake once Navi gain control. You know, the Franks up to almost 15,000 HP. You know, brought like Melody's designed to go in and just go super on the aggressive, not worry too much about their health. Now, that's a great retake from Zeta, all things considered. Suzuki going in again with the hype and the hypnosis there as well, gets Kuru taken care of. And now we've got some portal reinforcements coming in as well. Hypercharge available for Shatamp if he needs to go that super aggressive. But now it's all eyes on Levi to get this hypercharge tied down and upgrade it.
Yeah, and the Sharpie. Super here as well, hypercharge, and there's Levi's hypercharge turret at Choppy, looking pretty low as well. Shatampo choosing the backline zone and should be able to get a Choppy round there as well. Shatampo, nice move from him. Nest egg can be popped. Not a bad time for it to be taken out really, but now Ryohei coming in, a super away from Suzuki, actually goes back towards Ryohei, hypnotizes him and gets him down, and he's pretty much even.
Yeah, but I mean, there's so much now to Zeta's advantage. And now with Kuru in a 1v3, time for Zeta to heal, most importantly, speed zone down yet again. Portus is coming in with hypercharge value. I mean, this is going to be a really tough thing for Navi to retake. Look how quickly Shobi's getting stranded down now with that helping hand of DPS. But now Navi are on the zone, but that Portus staying firm. Gets the Frank, gets the Melody as well. Portus MVP, and Zeta move on again to a match point situation.
I mean that's crazy. Like, how much of a good position Navi were in. As soon as the hypercharge turret hits, it's all over. It just does so much. Ridiculous how well it does. And there's 2 hypercharge along with it as well, paired pretty much at the exact same time. And Ollie just choosing to focus down the bell most of all. I feel it was just making moves on the back line and making sure that she can't be supported.
I don't think I've ever seen a double kill from a bolter in the BSC either. Like, it just puts it into perspective. I mean, you know, Navi can have a very good start. They've got to really capitalise down on that very thing. The priority by do not give him porters, keep the Frank on the mid as long as possible and just try to evade the Ollie, which Suzuki's playing fantastically well. They haven't really got an answer for him at the moment right now, and Ryohei's going to try and be that now.
Chopper's going to go down, the Ryohei eventually moving forwards, but should be cleaned up by these 2 players here. Doesn't get a super, and Kuru all alone with Portus coming towards him, actually running eye catching as well. Shatampo just dashing left and right, trying to get a pinch on a Sharpie and keep him low, and Levi doing a good job of just that.
Hey, that's my favourite Mr. Peak actually, don't you down talk it. But you can see the problem with the bell. Kuru can't do anything in these porters. It takes so many shots to do much against it. It's like 5 shots and then he's out of the conversation for such a long period of time. Has got to come back in again. Zeta back on the zone now, claiming back this deficit. And so far, that's a great start for Navi, which is going to fall back again to the same scenarios we saw in the previous game. Hypercharged porters are back on the map, and it's a deja vu situation, Trap.
Takes three Frank shots to be able to get the Mr. P porters down, but he's just going on the back lines and go for the turret rather than anything else. Suzuki available to come in here around the back, but not going to do it. Ryohei just shows his entire super and everything to get that Mr. P hypercharge down, and during that time, he's just placed a different turret. He doesn't have hypercharge on it, but it's still working just as well at the moment.
Final glimmer for Navi to retake things, but I think Zeta are too hunkered down for it. A hypercharge flare to seal it, and Shatampo knows it. It's Zeta Division that are proceeding to the grand final. And night and day difference to their monthly final hopes last month. This time, they're getting it right when it matters.
Sunglasses are back on as well. Celebration pose of just sunglasses. And I absolutely love it. Zeta Division played their absolute hearts out in that one there. Seems like Mr. P every time it gets picked up it just wins. Absolutely incredible brawler. But going into that one, I quite liked the Navi competition. And the start of both the games, like, okay, Navi, you got it. As soon as Zeta get the turret, get the supers from Stu, it's just ending for them.
Both times Navi were in the lead at the start. Zeta played it really, really well. They let Navi have their moment, farming Mr. P Porter to turn things around. Again, like, Mr. P is just a huge difference maker in the current meta. You two mentioned it as well. Ark, is there anything that you can play against him?
It's not really about what you play into, it's not feeding him. That's the thing, you know. I mean, I don't feel like Levi should have really got the hypercharge turrets that he did in the game mode, really. But when you bring in a Frank, you know, you're a bigger body on the map. You're kind of easier fed into that very thing. And I mean, I thought that maybe Navi would have learned from that mistake in the first game, but then they just fed it to him even faster in the second. And, you know, once those portals on the map, like, we saw just the desperation in Rio going back to the very side of the sport to take care of the turret, and that was not a bad game plan at all. In fact, we don't see that nearly enough with the hypercharged portals, but you know, it was just a little bit too late. You know, throwers are a good advantage to have on your side against the porters, but players are still going to place it so far back. The respawn of those portals is the problem really for me. If you haven't got like a healer on your team, you're constantly not able to heal because you're shooting them, and they're respawning so fast that, you know, you can't allow the time in between to heal before you can advance up to take care of them. So simply ban it. It's as simple as that. You can't ban everything. I do understand that, but I feel like Mr. P is one of these brawlers that is just an absolute menace at the moment in the meta.
Seems that way. I mean, Mr. P just disgusting. It really isn't. You can't write off the other two players as well. Shitampo and Suzuki played so well there, and we saw Shitampo get a few hypercharges, and they were pretty influential, especially in the closing seconds of the last game, just dashing about, staying healed up, staying in the mix, getting that percentage done. Put Zeta Division in a great spot to be able to finish that one off. Navi, though, they played very well. They had some incredibly good drafts, and I don't doubt that they'll be back just as strong, if not stronger, next month, because they're a team that should be fighting for world spots.
They certainly did play well. Commiserations to Navi. It's over for them today, but we still have one good matchup coming up next. It's going to be a Reject versus Zeta Division, and I already teased that a little bit. Zeta dropped out in the semifinals last month against no one other than Reject. So it's a rematch here we have on our hands for the grand finals of the March monthly finals, and there's so much on the line with the race for the Brawl Cup still.
Absolutely, not just the pride of this matchup, but the points, most importantly for Zeta, to be able to claw their way back. Currently number 4 in the leaderboards, not now that they're in the grand finals, but coming into today, it was Crazy Raccoon that really had the advantage over the region. And we were saying, if they can just get past that first match of the day, and at the very least deprive Crazy Raccoon of points, whether or not they make it all the way and can win the day, that was the most important thing. So in that respect, maybe their toughest task has already been done. The grand finals might not be nearly as much of a threat to them now they've got this momentum, and to me they're looking like favourites, I've got to say.
Trev, you had to guess, who did the people at home vote as MVP?
Probably Shitampo. It usually is, isn't it? It usually is. He's got the biggest fan base. He probably did play the best. It's got to be.
I think Levi wouldn't have been a bad MVP, you know?
Yeah, but can you really win MVP by playing Mr. P? Like,
fair point.
And he hasn't got the hair, has he, really? I mean, Shitampo's got the locks.
He might have played a good Mr. P, but, you know, who can't play a good Mr. P?
Yeah.
Not taking anything away from him. But it is, yeah.
Minus 1,000 aura for the pick, yeah.
I mean, Stu was banned out so often, Shitampo played him phenomenally, so no surprises here that he's the MVP. We're heading into our grand final first. We're up for a tiny little break, and we get Kenny back. Bye-bye, Trev. Hello and welcome back. If you missed all day today already, you came at the right time if you tuned in now. We're at the grand finals. 6 matches are down, the 7th is yet to come, and I'm super excited to watch some Brawl Stars arc.
Me too. This is what it's all about. Grand finals and the States Division. What a day it's been so far. I mean, they've really shaken off a lot of the cobwebs from the February monthly finals. I'm sure. Can they make the biggest play today in this region and go all the way? I mean, the odds were stacked against them from the very get-go of the quarterfinals, and this could be their month.
Should be an interesting one. I mean, honestly, Reject put themselves in the prime position for Brawl Cup if they end up winning this, right? I mean, last month, 2nd place, this time at 1st, that would still be better than State Division, better than Crazy Raccoon. You know, getting a good job here and really securing a grand finals, I think might put them over the top, make them definitely the favorites next month.
Absolutely so. I mean, you know, this is going to be a match which is going to bring back a lot of memories, though, for Zeta, as Reject were the victors in the semi-finals last month. So they've got that to their advantage, and it was quite a good win, substantially so on the set side, 3-1. So it was quite comfortable, in fact, for Reject. And Zeta Division have got to really look to iron out the mistakes of which they made last time round. And you know, I've got to be honest, I wouldn't have been against anyone siding with Reject. Having seen how they've come in and been playing today, and how they've been drafting, I mean, I hate to be the one to break it to people, but you know, they might get squished in the grand finals when they're all's going so well for Zeta. I think Reject are the teams there which could stop them in the tracks.
If anyone, it's going to be a Reject. Otherwise, we don't have any other team lined up for them to throw against them to see if someone can stop them this month. Last month, it didn't go all the way. They dropped out in the semi-finals. 3-1 overall. Reject took that match. So this rematch certainly is a great motivation for Zeta Division to take it now, to get their revenge directly against Reject. And I'm looking forward to also seeing the draft of both of those teams. You mentioned Reject had some phenomenal draft. I feel like State Division brought in some new ideas with the Shade. I love to see Shade Campo and say Shade.
Definitely brought a pick, which I'm really like grateful to see. I think it's one of those brawlers that's been slept on by other regions. In fact, it might be that brawler which other regions look upon East Asia and think, yeah, we're missing a bit of a trick here. I mean, historically, as well as the side of Reject is the sort of former rival esports players. Generally speaking, I mean, the scorelines last year were pretty much all 3-2s against Crazy Raccoon and them, which obviously the only remaining player on the roster of Crazy Raccoon now is the Tampa. But I mean, it does say quite a lot about the skill of these two players, or the whole roster as a whole in general. I think it's not going to be nearly as straightforward as people think. I think that Zeta is the flashier name. I think they've got the flashier roster. But in terms of how this is going to play out, I think it could go one of several ways that might not be to everyone's liking.
We've witnessed greatness from both of those teams all day long. Now it all comes down to this throwdown. The only thing that's still missing for us to be ready for this grand final are the maps. Kenny, any surprises here, or are you happy with the map pool for the final?
I'm not particularly picky, and that might be part of the reason why Trav's on the sideline here. Yeah, I didn't want to call him out, didn't want to name names, but we were all thinking.
Always call Trav out. Always, never doubt yourself, Kenny.
Kenny still has to learn that, or I think we're doing that quite well already.
Just spitball it and just say how it is. He'd do the same. Yeah, we're all united in the polls. This is a match that I think is not nearly as clear cut as that. Again, curious to see what the event poll will be. But again, there's going to be the win and loss rates there to kind of sway the vote on some level to those that are maybe less familiar with the rosters. And there, you see 75% of Zeta. I think it's not quite nearly that skewed, in my opinion.
Reject literally won it. They literally won this, and it's 75-25. I think this is, to me, a full revenge arc for Zeta Division. Coming into this month, I really felt like in Scrim, Zeta and CR were the two standouts, and they just so happened to play each other in round number 1. That's not a shot at Melty and his team. They obviously had a really successful month number 1. They have been one of the more consistent teams in this region. To me, though, I'm riding with the talent. I'm riding with the belief I had pre-season with Zeta Division. I just feel like they're due one.
It could certainly be that they take this one. We just briefly touched on the predictions from this set as well. All forecasters believe Zeta's going to take this one. Arc might change that since I just said Reject might be the ones to stop them. Depending on how ability hang, and it Janet on the side of Reject. I do love those bands. Melody has been picked up on this map before here, and she looked so strong. What we have is mid here, technically still an 8-bit open. We talked about him before here, hasn't been picked up today at all. What we've seen a lot is Goss, even B. And yeah, with B ban out, maybe we see Goss. What I like to see, Mr. P is out of the way.
I'm looking at Ollie here a little bit myself. I think that could be a good shout. It's a bit of a tough stage in the draft to pick it, but I'm sure very much in the minds of the players. And yeah, Gus Bit, I think for me is always probably the most solid. 8-bit, depending upon the big picture, I think is definitely still an option. And Bell, I think as well, having seen how that's been playing out today really nicely in this region as well, I think it's going to be up there for sure in terms of these roller picks. And it is definitely going to play into the 8-bit as well, so it might be worth picking up here on the side of either of these two teams. But Stu first pick, is that brawler which is just so prominent in this meta, and even in the meta prior to this as well. People, again, good to see that brawler coming in today, because I feel we've been seeing too little actually of Meeple, considering how other regions are saying that it's just now S tier and playable everywhere.
It's a little reassuring to see him showing up. We still have 3 monthly finals left, but this was definitely a brawler I wanted to keep my eyes on. Obviously, without pro play, you never super know how good a brawler is going to be, so this is kind of our first exhibition of what Meeple can do. And to me, just when testing him, when playing him, it's somebody that I've been trying to utilize in my ranked games, because I just think he's so frustrating to go against. He does a sneaky amount of damage with his balance change. He's a lot better now. He's a controller, and it shows. Between his super, between his gadget options, he's got multiple good builds, so I just think overall, Meeple's a very safe pick and a very dependable one at this point.
And it's such a wide open map. I mean, that's the thing where Mansions of Meeple, which is the gadget which creates that big kind of box, it's got a 20-second cooldown as well, can break open immediately the bush, and that crossover is so important to eradicate all possibility of where someone is going to be. You can play so much into that, and I think to be able to just have that predominantly majority throughout the game, it's just a very tough thing to break through. Angelo is a bit of a risky one for me as well, but with Mr. P ban, less so for Zeta. But I haven't really seen Angelo being championed as a kind of mid-controller brawler in Gem Grab on last stop myself. I mean, normally it's kind of like a, Mr. P 8-bit, Bell 8-bit kind of affair. That kind of mid. So definitely a lot of confidence being displayed here by Zeta to go in for it. But there's no doubt it would be mid. And there's the brawler that I was expecting to see at the beginning, but Ollie makes a lot of sense. A bit tough in this stage of the draft though, because now Richard can really shut it down.
I was wondering if they're going to pull the trigger on it, just because I think he's such a powerful brawler. Obviously, it can take away gems with a little hypnosis, things like that. But to your point, they can now address this with whatever they want. And it's a sharpshooter, a tank, and then Stu just being kind of his own thing, to be honest with you. It's a lot to juggle for Reject, so I don't think this is necessarily a free decision. There's not one brawler that comes to mind that fixes everything. Surge going to be that option. I do think into Ollie, we've seen it today. We've gotten enough of a test where I feel like this is a brawler that can definitely deal with that. Not necessarily going to be easy on that tier 1 stage unless you're laning Ollie, so I think if Zeta Division kind of line their lanes up properly, this could be troublesome for Reject.
It's a solid answer, yeah. It's certainly one that we've seen today get some good results, but also be the issue of the comp. So it really is about having that good start and not being on that first initial level, being slow and sluggish, not going to help anyone for your team in such an open map as well. It's going to be tough with it. It is about isolating the Ollie, really getting off the mark as quickly as possible on the side of Reject with that brawler pick.
Zeta Division with a narrow lead, but a lot of control going for Reject right now.
Yeah, Batman off the mark is the most important thing. Nice evasion there at the speed zone to just make sure that he's able to isolate the kill there. And that's not always the case. Normally the first instinct is just to get rid of the speed zone, but dancing around it enabled him to work his way forwards. Tambo out of position now, gets to start off onto the Ollie for a couple of seconds to ensure the shot Now Batman comes in for the gems, a drop, and Levi comes in for the dash. He's got a second shot that we have danced around the mid now as well, brings back the gems for his team. Disgusting stuff.
All the gems on the top right-hand side. Levi barely alive. Oh, a perfectly placed speed zone goes down immediately, but Shitambo there to recover. Beautifully played there, and they're going to be able to escape with these for now. 15 seconds on the clock. Rejects need the kill. Shitambo has to be the answer. And Melty now diving in. Walls being broken. Meeple super on the ground. Levi skating, dodging. Now it's in the right-hand side. Batman looking for a couple tags. Not even close to enough, though. Well over 8,000 HP, and Zeta Division get away with the heist. That was a nice robbery there to give him the win.
Yeah, it really, really was. I mean, but when you look at just how composed Zeta looked there for me, I mean, the gems coming back, the low HP, the tanking there with the speed zone gadget to ensure a bit more survivability to get the ollies close enough to pick up the gems when the Stu was inevitably going to go down. It's a really nice work of plays, honestly, from Zeta to ensure it, and nothing, despite the hypercharge break of the walls from Piper of Melty, nothing that they could do to respond for Reject, and that's how you play a perfect game. You know, it might not be perfect from start to finish, but the end execution was spot on from Zeta.
One good heads-up play, like you mentioned, makes all the difference. All it took was a good Levi flank, nice kill, and well executed all around. Even had somebody as a backup plan to pick up those gems. Traditionally, you don't want that to be your tank, but I think Ollie's a little bit of a different case because he's got so much mobility. He's got a gas where he can jump away from harm. Love it overall, but Batman going to be able to start out for his team, dropping those gems off for Melty, who's going to be able to scoop them up. Suzuku, complete control of the mid, and now Shitambo, well into the enemy territory. A big problem for Reject right now is that Batman is on that tier 1. They're down in brawler count as well. This could be a runaway from Zeta Division if they're not careful.
Nice shove there from Suzuki, that was cutting it fine. Melty was going to snipe him big time, but chaos ensues, allows the gems to be dropped, and now Zeta come back for the scraps. Again, it's another countdown, it's just Batman alone. His teammates coming back in now. Melty's not got a super, they've got the hypercharge for the potential wall break, as we know how influential that can be. There's so little time now, Batman's with the heal as well, and Stones can get these gems, not easily at least.
Definitely going to be a toughie with 2 seconds to go and just enough HP. A little jump is just enough to secure the count. Easy set there for Zeta Division. Hot start and well on their way to getting revenge for last month's performance. Reject the one that beat these guys, and now Zeta Division trying to do a complete reversal of the storyline they built for themselves in our first opening month.
No, I really like the idea of Reject there to pick the surge into the ollie. It's something that we've seen quite often today. An answer, because surge ult counters ollie ult in the end. He can just jump out of the way. But other than that, we didn't really see a lot coming from Reject. Zeta Division had them pick up a couple of gems, like they left a couple of gems for Reject to pick up, but then they always managed to take the gem carrier down and steal the gems away. It's still Chu is going to be our MVP if we just look at KD and also the damage output that he had. Why wasn't that enough for?
I mean, ultimately for me, Zeta Division were just playing the long game. They were able to snatch the gems at the times when Reject were weakest. And, you know, I think that the Angelo pick was working really well into the Piper. I think that, you know, for me, Reject was not able to get the momentum that they needed. The aggression there of Levi coming in was just really, really quite tough to deal with. Stu's very much a menace in every sense. It's a tough thing to play into as a Piper, as a Meeple. You know, it's really tough to land your shots regardless as to what brawler you are on that comp. So I think just a really, really good drop from Zeta. No other way to put it.
Levi really seems to be your guy today. Arcure having only the best words for him to say. Your goat. Let's see if he's also going to be your goat on Pinhole Pond, our next map. Brawl Ball is usually something that Reject likes. I believe we had them win their Brawl Ball sets today, Kenny. Do you think they can equalize the score? Are we going to go all the way or not in this final?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting here because a brawler we have to keep our eye out for now that we know that Zeta Division are so capable with it. It's got to be somebody like Shade, who they utilized here earlier, not on this particular map, but definitely in a few modes and including Brawl Ball. So curious if they pull out some random stops. In scrims, it's definitely shown up. I won't say it's as frequent, but I feel like there's a little bit of mind games here. Now Zeta Division have a little bit of a reputation for using some of these brawlers that maybe other regions, maybe other teams aren't utilizing as much. So I'm curious to see how that impacts the band stage here.
I tried to tickle out a bold claim from you there, Kenny. I want to hear it now. Are we going to go all the way or not?
I think this is a 3-1 Zeta Division. That was my gut coming into this, but, you know, you never know. Been wrong before, been right some, but mostly wrong.
I see you. Okay, Art, take it away with the draft now. We already have the Mr. P there. I'm already not seeing the brightest future for Zeta.
No, I hope maybe down has been a 3-0. I mean, the way that Zeta have played today has been honestly like so phenomenal that every time that I've thought, okay, they haven't got draft here, they turned it around, and it's always been quite surprising. It's definitely a scary comp that I'm seeing come up so far, but I mean, you got to remember that if they really get a goal, then any water spawners are going to be going down with the round, so there is that to think about too. But clearly Zeta are worried about tanks here. Go with the Lou first pick is saying quite the statement, and Rejects so far not playing into it at all. They banned the poker, they banned the Ollie and the Hank. It doesn't seem like to me that they're thinking tanks either, to be completely honest. But maybe because they got the Poco, Ollie, Hank, and B banned, and Berries, a lot of brawler bands that are there, they're just concerned that they haven't got anything in this, you know. The Shade, as we know from Zeta Division, really, for me, Rejects should probably have banned that as instead of something, because I think you have to against Zeta. Despite the mess, you kind of really, you can't risk leaving it open. That's completely swung you back over.
I mentioned it, and for good reason. I mean, we saw what Shatampo could do on this brawler earlier, and honestly, I wonder how Shade does into Mr. P. Obviously, this isn't as tested of a brawler, but it's one of the few that, obviously, if you line up the shot properly, 3,200 damage, can take out the little mini penguin. If there's a tiny one, it usually has 1,400 HP, and this is also a brawler that can hit multiple foes at once, which is something rare. It's a little bit trickier, but it can pierce through stuff, which I think is a big deal in the Mr. P, so I think they do get a little extra value here as well. They have an aggressive flare, and now they pair it with a buster. So they've got the health points on their side, they have Lou, so that's one option that Reject does not have to counter their tanks, and even if they did, Buster can reflect projectiles. It's a very solid brawler. It's not always a top 5 option for me on any particular map, for example, but I do feel like it could still be used pretty well.
Picking a Frank into a Lou, okay? I mean, the map, it definitely favours the Frank over the Lou, so I don't mind it at all, but definitely a bold decision from Reject to kind of stare the tank counter that was placed as their first pick with the coin toss dead in the eyes and go, do you know what? Yeah, we're good, we're good. Having seen what Zeta have done with this Shade today, it's impossible to not favour them, regardless of the Mr. P, which, you know, was something that I would never have said coming into today. Never, you know. We saw questions seeing Shade from Zeta Division a little bit earlier today, but then immediately put to rest any doubt, really. But that doubt came from the first set, which was in Heist, and just didn't really deliver any goods anyway. And then goal in the first 10 seconds from Zeta. That kind of stuff, you know.
Well, welcome in. I guess they just walked one in, and now Shatampo off to the races here in the middle of the map, pierces through the walls. Shu going to be taking a lot of heat right now. Goes down, and honestly, he can shoot through walls, so that border's going to be useless. Levi wide open net, and 28 seconds. Yep, folks, you saw that right. 28 seconds is how quickly Zeta Division just won a game.
I mean, speed run, March. I know that's probably the fastest game that we've seen all year. Crazy, absolutely crazy that they can come in with a Shade pick that, for all intents and purposes, had everyone scratching our heads at the beginning of today. And like I said, I genuinely feel like other regions are going to look at this and go, hey, shall we try screwing Shade again? Maybe we're missing a trick here because, you know, Zeta seems to be owning with it. I'm not kidding. I think that you've got to ban it against Zeta.
It was something they scrimmed a lot, and now I kind of understand it. Can pierce through the walls as well, so that means the porters have nowhere to hide. Levi squeezes one through the back of the net. Melty had a chance to stomp, but he didn't have enough in the tank there, and now Shatampo once again off the middle of the map, already cycling in another super, bullying Shu in his spawn, and Levi just walking it up, the fastest set of the year. It has to be GG. It's going to be Zeta Division with a speed run.
I think it's probably the fastest set of all time, honestly. I mean, that is ridiculous. I remember seeing 2020. I think Code Magic had like one of the fastest games of Brawl, but I mean, that's back to back. That's ridiculous. This is why you banned Shade against Zeta. I mean, Blink, can you miss it stuff?
Was it actually the fastest match ever? I would love the community to dig on the last couple years and actually figure that out for us. It really feels like Zeta Division had to catch a train or something. They really want this to be over, making their comp work out phenomenally. 2 tanks on their side. I really liked the Mr. P melody, and it just did not work out. The Shade on Tampa as well just looks phenomenal. Once again, I feel like so far he has a 100% win rate on the brawler today.
It's just disgusting. I mean, you know, you either ban it or you figure out a darn good way of countering it, because, like, that's just ridiculous. I mean, how often do you see such a convincing way of just slaughtering your opposition as that. On a brawler which, for all intents and purposes, has not been meta. Like, since Shade came into the mix, we've only seen it a handful of times at best, and even then, not really enough to write home about. Today's that day that's very much changed things. It's still circumstantial, no doubt about it. I think Zeta making it work in Brawl Ball's been a bit of a staple, but we saw it as well in Hard Rock Mine really excel. And in Pit Stop, it wasn't as great. So, a bit hit or miss, but, I mean, you got to know where to play it, and Zeta know where to play it. I mean, is it going to be much replay? It was over in, like, less than a minute.
It's just going to be Levi walking it in 4 times and Shitampo just diving up the middle of the map. I honestly think that this is the reason they beat Crazy Raccoon. Crazy Raccoon didn't have an answer for the Shade. Reject had no answer for the Shade, and in fact, I think the Shade has a pretty good matchup in the Mixer P. I mean, look at this. He just dives through the wall, and if he drops his porters behind a wall, he just swipes through and they're dead. Honestly, a really creative solution, and now I understand why they've been scrimming it so much.
Probably that's why. I also love that we saw who scored in the stats, and we saw that all 4 goals were made by the Buster. That was really his only job. Just take the ball, walk ahead, score. Game is over in 40 seconds. Crazy strat, but it seems to work. Layer Cake is going to be our next map now. I don't think you can just walk up and win the game like that, can you, Art?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, really?
yeah. I was with you, to be fair. You know, I didn't know that was a thing, but apparently so in the grand finals against 3 chicks who are not by any means, you know, a spring chicken. They've been around for a while and they are exceptionally good. It just is that Zeta's division just upped the gears this month. Now, this is the brawler that we didn't see any of. Well, we saw multiple tunes off like last month, and I haven't really seen much of them come back, but coming back again, it is the kids. I was kind of enjoying the period of silence, to be honest.
Great synergy with any of the tanks, but especially with Daryl. Kenny, you feel like it's going to be picked up by either of the team here? Daryl?
I think we have to have our eyes on it. I think every time you see Kid, just naturally, if it's KO or Bounty especially, you love having Daryl who can charge that super passively, and then pairing it with something like a Kid. Janet would have been another good partner for that, though. Obviously, flying in the skies and dropping little yarn balls from Kit, pretty good way to keep 2 of your brawlers indestructible there for a short period of time. But I like Janet on this map anyways. It's somebody that we haven't seen a ton today, but I definitely think is a good brawler.
100% first pick worthy for me. Yeah, I actually want to see Janet banned in this map. For me, it's like one of her best maps at the moment. It's just super strong. Yeah, I mean, there's a great starting hand for Zeta. It really is. Stu, yeah, I mean, this, oh no. This is looking so good already for Zeta. The kit is definitely a concern. I like Sunny's idea of the pairing with the Daryl, because that is really quite something to deal with. But in Bounty, I mean, a kit's got to attach to something over time, and Melody, Daryl, those are options, but, you know, I feel like against the back lines in your spawn, it's tough to do much to help your team defend as a kit.
Gonna have to really take advantage of the cardboard box gadget, cycle in a super, but even then, Stu can skate away, Janet can literally fly in the sky. I think it's a tricky one to navigate if you're something like a kid. They're gonna pick up Angelo here, arguably the best sharpshooter in the game, and definitely a good one, I would say, on this map, but I don't necessarily think it's a solution to all their problems right now. I think this Stu-Janet combo is a pretty fierce one, to be honest with you, Ark.
No joke of a lie, I was playing Janet on this very map last night against an Angelo we won, spoiler alert. It's got an option in the back lane side. You know, there is some late on this map where you can have a little bit of a place to be. But it's still not great, you know, especially depending on what the Janet wants to bring into the mix. We've seen actually her gadgets get a lot of value on both sides of things now, but certainly with the drop the base, that's kind of like where Ando can't really do much to, you know, does he want to utilize an amplified shot to get rid of a gadget just to be able to stop the decay over time? Probably not. Ollie is a much better shout, come on with the kit, I get that. But I do feel like Zeta are cooking pretty well. Oh my, chalk it up.
Yeah.
Surely chalk it up, right? I mean, there's no wall break now. I mean, oh no. I mean, we've seen what Shake can do in the hands of Zeta, no less. I mean, I did say a 3-0 when we were discussing what the scorelines would be, but like, I mean, that's gotta be it, right? I mean, Regis is gonna have to do a great deal to bring this one back now.
Nobody knows how to deal with it. They just don't. And honestly, the way this map is shaped, there's no wall break like you mentioned, and there's a ton of walls. That's an issue. That's a problem. if you're reject,
Great summary, Kenny. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I just call it how I see it, coach. I just call it how I see it, big dog. It's just what it is. Like, nobody's had an answer for this guy today. And now we have all the momentum in the world, the most demoralizing set I think I've ever seen in my life. It was a speed run. And now Reject have to put it all behind him and try and claw their way back against the brawler that punished them last time. Good luck.
Yeah, I'm with you. I really am. It's not going to be easy. Melty already has to jump back to his teammate to survive that one. And now the balls of yarn will come down. Spider-Man the punch tempo. That's a good start for Reject. That's one kill to the blue star only in the hands of Zeta. But Levi is dangerous with this new pick, and they continue to advance forwards. Drop the base with the Janet pick there as well. Tempo's really dancing around these walls. The speed, the aggression. You love to see it.
Shu gonna be low HP, barely hanging on. Melty gonna go down now. Levi can capitalize. Shu trying to combat this. Does for just enough time, but Zeta still applying so much pressure. Reject have not been able to leave their spawn. They have a Shu super, and that's really all they can do unless Melty finds one of his own and dives in. Shu jumping away, forces the gadget out, and now Melty gonna be riding on the hoverboard as well. It's gonna be a tough one, but they have to find a way to climb out of here. Somehow, some way, though, they still have this star lead.
Hammer survives just about there. Levi with a break on that left-hand side as well. Batman's low is going to be taking a lot of deal to survive this one as the jet takes to the skies. They find one as well. That's 5 stars to Zeta. They can come back now with 9. Now thanks to Levi as well. Cardboard box with Melty coming in. He's going to find Tempo, but they can still get back in time. It's going to hand some stars over. So still an opportunity for Reject to get a final kill moment and turn this around in their favor.
Top only had 2 stars. He can be aggressive. They can afford this, but they can't lose another. Blue star resting with Suzuki here. With 15 on the shot clock, Melty is going to fall. 5 stars being the separator, and Suzuki now getting aggressive in the skies and indestructible at that. Batman marching forward. Shitapo there to fight him right in his face, and it does absolutely nothing. Zeta Division just running away with it here, and now on match point and continuing their dominant stretch.
Danger. Real danger now for Rejects, as they are looking like the sweep could be inevitable, which is quite the statement, really, when you consider the fact that they beat Zeta Division in the semi-finals last month with a 3-1 scoreline. They're about to get beaten to a more convincing one. I've got to hand to Levi as well, because I know I've been singing his praises all day long, but I have such fond memories of him last year playing on Stu, and he's one of the best in the world, in my opinion, on this particular brawler. And he's been a champion for Zeta today for me. Well worthy MVP. Not trying to rig things on the event side, but certainly I feel like a lot of support network has been due to him. 5 stars and the blue with Zeta on the back lines. A nice gadget appears there from Man, but Zeta, they're in such a commanding position. They look so confident.
Now, Shitapo just diving in. We should have known better, Art. The guy that can go through walls with the best mechanical play in the world. We should have known better. We should have known that this guy would be unbelievable with this. He's been so good in the past, and now they're just steamrolling their way through the set. 11-0. Shu and his teammates don't even have a star.
The kick couldn't connect to Shitapo because he was already inside the walls, and it's just such a great thing to see a brawl which has been ignored and underestimated by so many comes to the spotlight. 11 and the blue for Reject. They've really yet to show anything real in terms of competition against Zeta so far today. Some stars here and there, but they need to get some games on the board. They need to get some sets on the board, and as time trickles down, they're really struggling to find some momentum here.
Kid separates. Now Ollie left all by himself. Suzuki hypnotized, but can just get in. This guy doesn't even need it. A hypercharge being dropped, and now they're just 1 star away. Shitapo stretching and just waiting. Goes for the gadget, and it's 100% win rate for Shade. And most importantly, Shitapo and his teammates, they're going to be taking monthly finals number 2.
Shades are on. It's a +1,000 aura right there. Take the snapshot. What a day for Zeta. They came in as the 4th place on the leaderboards, and they exit as champions. What a showing, and what a day. What a way to even out the scorelines.
Very well said. Congratulations to Zeta Division. And I think they really did it. They still might be able to catch that train. That's crazy. Zeta was literally just spawn trapping rejects. They couldn't really do anything. He was just waiting behind the wall, always had a super ready, used that damage buff to his advantage to get that first clap off onto his opponents. And as Kenny already mentioned, in Zeta's hands today, Jade didn't lose a single match.
I really hope that other regions are paying attention and maybe they've got some answers that we are not seeing in East Asia. That's the other question here, because in this meta as well, I can see why people don't want to, even if they know with the analytics that Zeta are just bringing in shade and getting constant wins with it. It's a question of, do you want to give up a ban? It's already a tough thing to come by, and some players are asking for even a couple more to be added to the mix. Do you risk it? That's the question, because if you do ban the shade, okay, well then give yourself a better chance, but Zeta can still just then play the meta. You've got to have a good counter option for it. Banaman can't ignore that. 5 kills, the only team member to actually get some kills in that set. That can't go unnoticed on a brawler, which is probably not even the best catered for this game mode and this map. So fair play to him. But again, I'm going to shout Levi's praises there. 6 kills, and today has been just outperforming. I mean, Tambo obviously will get MVP with the shade. He's been an incredible asset. But Levi, I think, undersung today, and rightly so. He's always in the background, but he gets the job done.
He's a very consistent player indeed, showing us twice what he can do on that stew. We'll see if you guys at home actually picked today as your MVP, or maybe are vouched enough so you actually voted for Levi. It's gonna be Sukai. Kenny, rightfully so.
I mean, the shade is pretty good. This guy's a problem, man. Like I said, we should have known better. The brawler that can go through walls and the best mechanical player is a nasty combination. And to Ark's point as well, because they were so good at shade, because nobody had an answer for this, honestly, a huge reason why I think they win this, you play the meta. There's so many brawlers right now that you feel like you have to ban. And adding one more brawler that's out of the equation, out of the mix, that players aren't as experienced with, having that not be banned has given them several set wins today. And honestly, I think a really smart shot from them. They were able to take advantage not only of the meta, but found an exploit in it, took an advantage, and ran away with it.
He did indeed. Trev, we sadly didn't have you here for that very last match, but you surely had enough time to study the bracket. You want to guide us through? Hello and welcome back.
I'm back, baby. You can't escape me for that long. You can't escape me for that long. What a game that was, honestly.
We really tried.
I'm just gonna. If I didn't have a headset on, I'd cut my ears because I've just gotten 7 for 7. I'm pretty sure. Zeta Division with a 3-0, and honestly, that was more dominant than any performance they put on today. The grand final has been the quickest game, the fastest. Brawl Ball was the fastest thing I've ever seen. Bounty was as dominant as I've ever seen. Reject were not in that game, and Zeta Division made it all the way to the grand finals. And obviously, clean sweat Reject. What a performance!
It was a really good performance from every single team that we've seen so far. We have to say we have seen some great drafts, some great strategies, and it worked out the best for Zeta Division in the end. So congrats once again. Let's get acquainted with our new leaderboard now. We were talking all day long about the race to the World Cup arc. How does it look like now?
Wow, I mean, look at that. Just look at that. 1 point in it between Reject and Zeta Division. I was thinking that maybe Zeta might be one in front, but it makes sense when you think about Reject's consistent performance throughout the multi-finals, really. I mean, that's the thing, that they haven't been able to get a win yet. But with, consistently being in the grand finals, despite losing them, they are out in front. And that is really quite exciting leading into next month, When there's that close of a race, I mean, just, 11 points between Crazy Raccoon and Reject. I mean, that is such a tightly knit thing to see, isn't it? When you think about how the bracket might fare next month and how important it is now to literally win the whole monthly final. That's the race that I want to see to the Brawl Cup in East Asia.
Kenny, I'm going to start with you here now. What was your biggest surprise or highlight of today?
I think like how dominant Zeta Division were truly. I mean, they were the best into scrims looking into this, but I still had faith in Crazy Raccoon, and the fact that they escaped with a 3-2 win, the fact that they had the creativity to find this pick that was so strong, honestly, super surprising. I mean, CR are no slouches. Reject literally beat this team 1 month ago, and to go through balance changes, gadget changes, some new maps coming in the mix, and be as good as they were, that's a statement to me. This is a team I'm not only looking forward to next month, but now they put themselves in the spot where, hey, they're in the World Finals spot for now. Crazy Raccoon are the ones in third.
Right, same for you, surprise or highlight?
Highlight. I mean, I think the highlight has got to be even though I didn't cast it, the Crazy Raccoon versus Zeta game. I mean, that was the decider. It was whoever won that game was winning it all in reality. So I think that was probably the highlight for me. And surprise, Reject not putting up more of a fight in the grand final after the day they've had. I was expecting more.
Mark, same for you?
Yeah, Shade my highlight for today, honestly. But I think what Kenny says resonates with me a lot, because when you look at a team like Zeta, who had a really tough first month, and then we had this massive shift up, a whole new update, new meta coming through in gadget reworks, and then they were the team that were like, okay, let's try to use that to our advantage. What can we find as a way to bring ourselves back into the conversation? And I think that looking ahead to the other regions now, that same logic has to be applied. I'm looking now to also teams that maybe didn't have the best of showings last month, but actually have found a little bit of secret magic in the works that might then get an opportunity this time round. So I think it's really blown open this month, in my opinion.
It really did. I mean, I mentioned at the very start of the show today that this is the most volatile region, and I think that sums it up pretty perfectly. We saw that once again coming out of East Asia today. For everyone that tuned in today, thank you so much, and I hope to see you again tomorrow, since we're going to head into EMEA, something you don't want to miss out on. See you there.
Это не вам оказалось, ты сам наступил меня. Мне все равно надо выбирать. Я буду обрезать, а ты будешь думать, что ты виноградники только.